Hello guys, this is just one guy and I'm back here with my Mistborn project, and I just wanted to give everyone a roadmap of where the project is going because I'm almost done with the programming part and putting all the systems in, and after that I'll just be starting 3D animation, 3D modeling, my apologies, and then setting up the levels and how the game is going to work and everything. But I'm just going to give you an outline on how the game is going to work and an update on everything I'm doing. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is release a playable version next week. I'm going to put it up on the website itch.io, hopefully. I've just opened the account there and I found out you can upload games there. So I'm just going to upload a newer version every time I complete a major system, so everyone can get an idea of how the game is going, and I can get feedback in case I'm doing something that everyone doesn't like and they feel I need to change something. So mainly I'm going to be working on that, just getting that playable version out. In the first playable version, the only thing that's really going to be working is the combat. Some of the other systems do work, but the thing about it is they depend on other systems that are not in the game yet, like the dialogue system, for instance. The dialogue system does work. The only problem is it depends on the entry system. So while the dialogue system, uh, you can use it to talk to the NPC, I haven't programmed the NPCs to say anything or to feel a certain way about a thing, because the dialogue system also combines with the NPC emotional system. And the reason they have emotions is because you can manipulate it using brass or zinc. So while all those systems work, the emotional system and the entry system, I haven't given them something to say or baseline emotions based on a situation, because that goes into the entry system, which I haven't put in the game yet. So when you the first playable version, the only thing that's going to be working is the combat and I believe the stealth system. Uh, Now what I have to do before I put a playable version up, because when I first thought about it, I was just going to put the version that I play, that you see me playing in the videos. But I didn't realize a lot of stuff, a lot of glitches that were in there that I just didn't go and check because I didn't do hours of gameplay. I fixed most of the glitches, like there were lock-on glitches and stealth glitches, which are small stuff that I just took a while to figure out. But these are the only glitches that I really have left, and once I fix those, I'll upload the playable version. I'm saying next week, but that should be at the latest. I should be able to release a playable version faster than that. The first thing I have to do is create baseline stats. One of the things I didn't notice when I was testing the game is when I put in the health system and the stat system and everything, I never put baseline stats. I just put whatever stats I needed to get through that particular system. So I never put a baseline stat of health. So uh, basically, I made the player invincible. He had 1,000,000 health points, and the enemy can only do like 5 points of damage or whatever. And so I had to basically set up standardized stats. Another thing I never did was I never connected the stat system to the level up system. So while you can level up, it will do absolutely nothing because I never connected it to the stat system. And that should only take about a couple of minutes. And just for the problem with that is figuring out how much damage each character should do, because when you when I put up the playable version, the player is going to be able to summon a weak enemy, a mid-level enemy, and a strong enemy. And I have to figure out like what's going to be the stats on each one of those enemies. And that just requires a lot of playing the game and how it feels. And I don't want to put a strong enemy that has 1,000,000 points and you're hitting him forever and he just feels like a bullet sponge. So I just have to do a lot of testing to figure out what's the proper stats for health and damage and how much metal you should hold and stuff like that. Another thing I didn't notice was 10. When you create an enemy, first let me go over the way that 10 works. When you turn on 10, you can see everybody's footsteps. And that's a little special effect that does a little blinking. If you go back to my 10 video, you'll see it. And the way it works now is you I'm allowing in a playable version, I'm allowing the player to create enemies just to fight. It's not like that in the regular game. In the regular game, enemies always exist, or other houses always exist. other NPCs. But when you create them on the fly, 10 doesn't work on them. And I didn't design it that way purposely, because it would require running a function every couple of seconds, and that would just slow down the game unnecessarily and add extra processing to the game that just wasn't necessary. So for to optimize the game, to optimize the game, I set it up so it just runs once at the beginning of the game and never again. So I have to change that. Another system that I set up was, if you watch some of my beginning videos, when you use pewter and you damage the enemy, it knocks them back. But when I put in a combat system, a combo system, I took that out, because if you hit an enemy and knock them back, then you can't hit them with a second hit, which will prevent any type of combos from being done. So I have to go back and remove a lot of that system. I already removed a lot of it, but I didn't remove all of it completely. Another thing I did was, somehow I broke the ATM shadows. They don't work. The functionality of ATM works, but the actual ATM shadows don't work. Another problem that I didn't foresee was when you use ATM and 10 at the same time, it kind of causes some glitches. And this is because they're both based on dexterity. And when you use ATM, it raises your dexterity really high. And when you use 10, it raises your dexterity. And that's because dexterity is used for doing critical damage. And when you use ATM and 10, they both let you do more critical damage and up your chance for doing critical damage. And so there's a little bit of a glitch when you're using both of those together. So I have to fix that. So that's what I'm going to be doing from now until basically next week, or whenever I release the playable version. Now I'm going to go over a roadmap of the systems I'm going to put in the game, just so you know where I'm at. The first thing I want to do is fix some of the glitches, which I believe I've already done. There was a glitch where one of the combos, when you knock the person out, it didn't really it knocked them out, but it was something weird about it that I had to fix. I think I already did that. Skip the dialogue. In the dialogue system, you can just go through the dialogue, but I want to make it skippable just in case you want to skip past it. I think I did that already. When you could still talk to the NPC while you were in combat, which put you in which zoomed in. It was kind of weird, but the NPC would still be damaging you. I think I fixed that already. The uppercut damage I was talking about before, I fixed that. The AI movement after death, I fixed that, and connect the level up to the stats, which I was just talking about. So most of these I've already fixed. So I don't know. The next system I'm going to be working on is the climbing system, because I already put in the stat system. The stealth system. So I'm already done with this. The only thing I have to do is clean up the animations and make it work a bit smoother. And that's going to be into that, and put in some of the assassination animations. Basically, it's mostly going to be animations. Functionally, everything works the way I intended it to, with no glitches. After I finish with cleaning up that system, I'm going to be working on the climbing system. And this is because a lot of the Mistborn stuff happens at night. And in the intrigue system, you're going to be able to assassinate people, and that is going to be part of the game. And I want you to feel like an assassin, so you're going to be able to tightrope walk and climb on ladders and buildings and stuff like that, similar to Assassin's Creed. Not animation wise, because I don't really like the way that Assassin's Creed climbing works. If you ever played Assassin's Creed, the climbing looks beautiful, but functionally it's terrible. Like, you'll try to jump to one spot, and then the character will always jump somewhere you didn't want to. And I already put in a climbing system in my other game, Dragon Forge. If you go back to my older videos, you'll see it. And I'm basically transfer that type of system, because I like that type of system, where it's more simpler and you know exactly where you're going, into this. Another thing I have to do is put in some more menus. One of the things I didn't notice when I was putting in weapons was I didn't put in non-equipable items, and that was just an oversight on my part. I know how to put that system in. That should be pretty quick. The save menu, I won't put that in until last, because from previous experience making previous games, I know that there's a lot of variables that go into that. And if you put in the save system, and then you put in a system after that, and you want to save certain variables, it it takes a long time to do, and it's just time consuming. So I'll put the save system in last. Add all weapons into the combat system. This goes into add all weapon animations in. That's going to take really long, and that's because Unity didn't work the way I expected it to, so it's going to take a little longer. Now the problem with that is you have a lot of weapons. I believe it's like 8 to 12, and each one of those weapons, what you might not realize is when you use a certain weapon, it changes every one of your animations. And what I mean by that is it changes the way you stand, the way you jump, the way you run, the way you swing, all different combos, all that changes. And each one of these are held on animation layers. Now, what I assumed you could do in Unity was just copy and paste animation layers and then change out the animations, which you can do to a certain extent. But what I didn't realize was when you copy and paste animation layers, uh, some of the animation connections break. And it's a pain in the ass to go back and redo each and every one of those animation connections, and you have to change, you have to set up which variable changes the animation that you're playing. So that's what's going to make that adding all the weapons in take really long. But functionally, adding all the weapons in is pretty easy because they all work the same, except for the bow and arrow, which I have to add some extra programming logic for. But I already know how to put a bow and arrow in the game because I did it before in the Dragon's Forge game, which you can see previously on my channel. So that should be pretty easy. Another thing I didn't foresee was weapon range. I just didn't realize this, so this was an oversight. I believe I already put the system in, but when you use different weapons like a spear and a sword, the range of your weapons changes, so you have to change the collider. And I believe I already did that, so I just have to put it. I have to put in like stats for that. That's all. Combat systems menus, class system. The class system is pretty easy. Right now, the player doesn't have classes, but the NPCs, they do have classes. Now, the class system is going to be two things. Your race, which is going to be Sky and Noble, and then which metal you can use. Currently, the player can use all the metals, and that's just because I just was setting up how the metals work. But eventually, I'm going to let you choose to use either one of the metals, or just be Mistborn and use all the metals. The reason I haven't put in a class system yet is because that's going to be done in character creation, which I'm going to put in, which is kind of in the game. I just haven't showed it off yet. The house and intrigue system and the win-lose conditions and the bosses. I'm going to go over the win-lose conditions first, because it's going to go over the point of the game. The point of the game is to make your house become the most powerful house. Now you're going to have a house, and there are going to be a bunch of different houses. Your goal is going to be to dominate all the houses. And when you dominate all the houses, that's when you're going to win the game. The house system. Now how that's going to work is you're going to have three different scores. You're going to have the house score, which is the power of the house, which is basically the house power score. And then you're going to have under that a military score and an economic score. The military score and the economic score together make the house score. And this is how powerful your house is compared to other houses. Now, when you're the most powerful house and you can dominate every other house where they can't beat you, that's when when you win the game. But the way it works is you want to raise your military power score and your economic power score, and lower the other house's economic and military powers. Now, how you do that is, first, the economic power. That's based on how much money the house can make. Now, each house has members, and each member has a job and or a trade or something. Like there'll be boats that'll be trading, and those people working for the house, they basically give the house money, and that money goes into the house's economic power score. Now you can lower the economic power of a house by simply just killing those people. Killing those people that are doing the job will lower the economic score. But another thing you can do is use the entry system, which I'll go into in a minute. The military power score is lowered anytime you kill one of the enemy allomancers or you kill one of their soldiers. That'll lower their military power score. Now the intrigue system. The intrigue system ties into the house system because it ties into like their economic power or just allying with the house or anything like that. It's basically going to control your spies, your blackmailing, your bribes, your marriage and allying with the house. Spies. You yourself can either be a spy and go and steal information from the houses and then use it to blackmail them to lowering their house score. Where you say blackmailing them into either giving you money or taking money or into a marriage or something like that. It's just a way of manipulating them. And now to go into blackmail. Blackmail can work certain different ways. You can either go and steal information to blackmail them, or you can go to the balls. If you read the books, you know what the balls are. The balls are parties that all the nobles go to where they can trade information back and forth or steal information. This will also tie into the emotional manipulation system using zinc and brass. In the dialogue system, you can manipulate people. You can manipulate people through conversations using brass and zinc. Now you can in the intrigue system when you're at the balls, you're going to be able to manipulate these people to be more likely to give you information or to open up more through conversation and stuff like that. And you can use that information to blackmail certain houses and stuff like that. Otherwise, you can just straight bribe a house into attacking another house or something like that, or doing whatever you want. Marriage with a house, if you have a house that's as strong as you and you want to create a alliance, you can just straight marry into the house, and then your houses will be allied, and you can ally through other means where you just say, hey, you have a house that's lower than you, and you can make that house what is it called, your vassal. And that's all going to go into the intrigue system. Bosses. Another thing I want is when you fight certain people, most of the game is just going to be auto-generated because the NPCs can do everything you can do and stuff like that. But also want specialized boss battles like when you face Inquisitors and stuff, where there's different tactics and they have different methods of running around and different. Basically, they have different movements and different things you have to do to defeat them. So that's another system I have to put in. And after that, I just have to do not really important systems with programming, but just little stuff that makes the game look and sound better. The sound system, the beast class AI, which are just going to be your dogs and your animals, and I forgot what you call those giant blue monster things that are in the game. Was it colas? Yeah, colas. Put those into the game. The AI systems. The AIs in this game are very complicated. They have their own emotions and stuff like that. Each AI will feel differently about each person in the game, and they can do all the stuff that the player can do. So it's not so much as fixing the AI system or putting the AI system in, because most of the stuff is already programmed in. It's just making sure there are no glitches, and that when I put new systems in, I'm not breaking old stuff. Effect system, just to make the game look better. The world system, which is basically already in the game. It's already a time of day system in the game, and day-night cycle and everything like that in the game. A mini map and a map, just so you know where you're going and everything like that. There's only going to be one city, which is going to be Luthadel, the main city, and you're just going to be manipulating houses within that city. Control system. Right now, you can only control a game through a controller, and that's because I use controllers to play most games. I come from an Xbox background, so I like to use a controller more than a keyboard. I haven't put keyboard controls in the game yet, mainly because I don't know how that would work exactly. I mean, I could put the keyboard controls in the game, but I didn't want to put the keys in an awkward manner to where I might use it, but a person that uses keyboard would find it weird or awkward. That's one of the things I'm hoping to get some feedback on when I put the playable version out on how the key layout should be set up. And I think that's it. So that's just to give you a little roadmap of all the systems I have to put in and where it's going. I expect to be done maybe in a couple of months. Faster if I just work on it continuously, but my time is not infinite, so I can't work on it just continuously like that. And one of the things, none of these systems are particularly hard, and I put in these systems in my other game, Dragon Forge, already. The problem is with like little things that you don't really see coming, like little glitches and stuff like that, or certain ways that Unity works, which I didn't really expect. I'm gonna go over in another video on something that happened with the stealth system that made it take days, and where I really designed most of the stealth system within hours. And the way Unity worked made it take a couple of days with some of the glitches that I ran into. So that's mainly some of the stuff that makes the game take longer. But I should have a playable version by next week on itch.io. Uh, Download it and just give me some feedback if you feel some of the game systems are going the wrong way, or you want me to make some changes, and I'll get back to you. Anyway, thank you for watching. That's it for today.